Welcome, incredible, amazing agents and investors from across the country. Today is Thursday, December 19th, 2019, and this is Mastermind call number 257. Just a couple things I wanted to mention before we get started, and I'll turn it over to my partners to comment, but we're going to keep our regular schedule for the holidays. We're going to go ahead and do another call on December 26th and January 2nd. And we do have a role play call scheduled for New Year's Day. I'm sure that's nobody'd rather do, nothing more important than coming talking to us on New Year's role play. And so we are going to change that. Have we picked the time?
We checked. Yeah, it was already scheduled for January 8th.
Awesome. Okay.
The second Wednesday at 2 p.m.
Perfect. So it just defaulted away from the holiday anyway. So, all right, good to know. So the mastermind calls go on as usual, and the role play call will be a week from Wednesday at 2 p.m. Eastern. And I think that's all I've got for now. Partners, anything you want to share with the group?
Not I, other than we will probably not talk to our team, our wonderful customers until that day, and I want to make sure everybody gets their Christmas shopping done and has a happy, safe holiday season. And we certainly have had a great year, and we hope you guys have too, but hope you have a blessed holiday season.
Awesome. Chad, anything else you want to share?
No, I don't have anything this week.
All right. Well, we only have one person in the queue. It's a familiar person. We have a little bit of a low turnout today so far, which is understandable. We're coming into the holidays, but please don't be shy, everybody. Hit *6 and hit 1. I was hoping Bud Thompson would be on the call, but if you're here, Bud had the best week of anybody I've ever heard in the probate business as far as closings, and I don't want to steal his thunder, so hopefully he'll come on and share. Anybody else has any wins, any challenges, anything we can help you with, hit *6 and hit 1. And we do have 2 in the queue now. Let's go to our first caller. First up is phone number ending in 7976. You're up first.
Hi, guys. It's Renee. Happy holiday.
Likewise, Renee. How's it going?
Good. Just a quick question. I am looking to do some mass texting, and I understand this is being recorded, and there's all kinds of, be careful on the mass texting. I'm just curious, if you know of a mass texting that will merge in the address, so it looks like you maybe hand texted it, if that's a word, but you're doing it to a bunch of people. Does that make sense?
It does. I don't have a whole lot of experience with. I mean, there are a ton of platforms out there, and I wish I could recommend one for you, but
okay.
Just because of the liability, I've always stayed away from it. So
okay.
I think pretty much any of the ones you're looking for, that's a pretty simple function. So pretty much any of them should be able to do like a merge function.
Yeah, maybe.
Column A would be the phone number. Column B would be the address. And you could just, use the merge fields to column A and column B.
Okay. I've just never done it, so if it's really almost like a CSV type of export, then got it.
Yeah, most likely.
Hey, Renee, I like you. You're remind me of myself. You're sneaky and you're a little bit of a risk taker, so that's what it takes sometimes. The only thing I was going to share is we have heard from subscribers in the past that they've gotten extremely good results with texting. It's just it's a risk reward ratio. You have to kind of know your options, and if you're willing to do it, it sure could pay off big time for you.
Yeah, I mean, just in my experience thus far, and I don't think it's that I live in a bigger area. It's like, to my personal opinion about the phone in general in sales is, yes, it works. I'm not scared of it. I've done, plenty of cold calling. In essence, I'm still doing cold calling. This just happens to be a niche, probate.
Yep.
So I don't mind doing kind of once through, and then my intention is not to blast people. It's just to get in touch with them. And it's more and more challenging with the phones and smartphones. I mean, I'm lucky if I get a 6%, pickup rate. So it's
Sure.
really just permeating the communication rather than, annoying people. So anyway, if it's that field, I think probably having something a little bit more detailed, like an address, of a home. But I'm looking to do it with maybe older probates, ones going back to September or October, maybe not just blasting everybody up front. I think people in my immediate area are really getting hit hard, and thus the annoyance. It's almost like an expired experience. They're getting so bombarded. But, if I go hit them, but then wait a month or so and do a text, or, then I don't think it's going to be as intense. But we'll see. I'll let you guys know.
Yeah, it reminds me on our role play call yesterday, we had someone, we were discussing, Chad was role playing, and the guy had said, I'm on the do not call list, and Chad made a comment, well, do you want to continue? And the guy said no, so Chad hung up, and the agent said, well, I'm surprised you didn't try harder. Well, no, if somebody at the first sign of resistance text any of those kind of things, just apologize and hang up, and you're probably not going to have a problem. If you're obnoxious about it and you press on after being told, there's a big difference there. So you're more likely to get a complaint. So I think you got a lot of common sense. You could probably pull it off and, not have a problem with this. Let us know if you do, please, because we like to put all the options out there for everybody and let them decide.
Exactly. Beautiful. Okay, guys. Thank you.
All right. Thank you. We have 3 more in the queue. Next up is phone number ending in 8202. You're up next.
Yes, hello?
Are you there? Yes, ma'am.
Yes. Hi, this is Myra. Happy holidays.
Likewise, Myra.
My question has to do with approaching attorneys. Like, what is the best way to approach attorneys to try to get leads from them? I was thinking one idea that I had was joining the Orange County Bar Association to network, but I do want to, since with the leads, with all the leads, you guys do provide the phone number for the attorneys. Like, what is the best way to approach them? What motivates? What's an incentive for them?
So, good question. The first thing I'll point you to is an interview that we did with a probate attorney out of Northern California. And I'd say the quickest way to pull that up is you go to alltheleads.com. In the top right, you'll see a global search bar. Just you could put in probate attorney, or his last name is Fraker, Fraker. And that will certainly bring it up. I think we posted that on July 1st. Yes. So John he's an agent with Keller Williams, and he's now a probate specialist, but he has built his career as a probate and estate planning attorney. And we spent over an hour just talking about the question you just asked, so I think that'll be really helpful for you. But what we find is, face-to-face visits are very impactful. The phones are extremely challenging. The mail is as well, because these attorneys are starting to get pressure from people. What really turns them off is everybody that comes through the door has their hand out asking for something. So if you want to get leads from an attorney, give leads to the attorney first and open the door with value. So, ways to do that is you can, in your day-to-day business, you're helping people buy and sell the largest assets they own. And most Americans don't have an end-of-life plan, but they should, because probate costs the average American 5% of the gross value of their estate. Well, a living trust is like $1,500 to $2,000. So it's way cheaper and way easier for the family to have a proper estate plan in place than it is to just go with the default of, let's probate it. So if you can convince your past clients, your peers, your family, whoever it is, if you can get anyone interested in setting up an estate plan versus paying way more and having way more stress and less privacy, anyone that you can get to raise their hand and say, yeah, you know what, it's not very exciting, but you're right, I do need that. Then you've created a referral to go open the door to a new attorney relationship. So if you walk into an office and you say, hey, my name's Chad, I'm a real estate professional. I help a lot of people, buy the largest assets they'll ever own, but I haven't this up until now, I haven't been helping them protect that investment and their own legacy. So I'm really I have some referrals that I'm ready to introduce to a partner, but I need to find the right partner to work with my clients. So is Attorney John Doe available to sit down for a few minutes? And boom, you're through the gatekeeper. Now when John Doe comes in, you can say, well, listen, I've got a team of people locally. We help families going through probate. And what I've learned from that is I don't have an estate plan myself, but most of my clients don't have an estate plan. So the struggle that my business is here to change is also, a likelihood for me and all my past clients. So I'm looking to partner with an attorney that, I can send these people to when they need help. Well, he's an attorney. He's reasonably intelligent. He's going to put connect the dots of, okay, this lady's wanting to bring me a steady flow of referrals. What does she mean? She helps families in probate. So organically, the conversation is going to move in that direction. Well, what do you mean you help families in probate? Like, that's their specialty, so they're going to be interested in that. And at that point, you've organically created a conversation where you can talk about yourself, your business, your service, and how you rely on referrals just as much as he does. And any intelligent person is going to be like, oh, I see. She's bringing me business, so I'll send her business. And if it's going well, then that's going to be the result, right? So that approach is working really well in every market. It doesn't matter if it's a rural market or Manhattan. Like, even where I have expected attorneys to slam the doors in people's face, they've never had a conversation like that. And no one comes into their office offering value first. Everyone comes in saying, hey, I'm an investor. I've got a lot of cash. I buy houses. Let me know what you got for me. Or realtors come in saying, oh, my gosh, we are like the best listing agents that you ever seen, and we were like #1 last year. And they come in with this me bullshit, and the attorneys just shut down. They're not listening at all. But what's really shocking to me is when our folks are going in, people will go out and visit 10 attorneys and come back with 5 solid relationships, and the other 5 were in court. They didn't even get to see them. So it's, right now at least, it's incredibly easy to connect with them if you have real value when you're trying to connect. The people that go in with the me approach, typically they get brushed off. Like, when I talk to them, they're like, oh, yeah, it went pretty good. I think he really liked everything we told him. And that was the problem. They were in there telling him telling him about their business, not asking him about his business. So find a way that you can, complement their business and provide value to them first, and you'll open that relationship with trust, and you'll have referrals immediately. Now, as far as, and those are office visits, there's an app that I use called Route, the number 4 Me, so Route 4 Me. I think it's like $5. You can load in, I don't know if there's a limit, you can load in up like 20 attorneys' offices, and it will use Google Maps to show you the most efficient route at that time of the day based on traffic and, geography. So you can just
call them to show up.
That's my recommendation. I'm from West Virginia. We call that a drop by. So you make an impact, like instead of trying to chase somebody for 3 days and set up an appointment, you just walk in and say, listen, I have referrals for Attorney John Doe. I'd like to speak with him. And, and obviously not in that concisely, and typically what you'll find is you can get them to commit to a 5-minute conversation. They'll hold you there for the next hour. As most people are spending an hour or an hour and a half at these appointments, because once the attorney realizes, oh, this is a different class of professional, then they have all kinds of questions for you, and they have stories to tell you and things to share with you, and, a real relationship exists then. So, what I would recommend is load your attorneys in. Pick, to make this sustainable and systematic, pick a day each week or a day a month or a day every 2 weeks, whatever you can do. But for example, midweek, midday is the most likely time to find a probate attorney in their office. So if you say every Wednesday from 1 p.m. to 5 p.m., I'm going to visit as many attorneys' offices as I can, and here's the list, and I'm just going to go literally top to bottom, or the ones that have the most cases to the least cases, whatever your system is, put it in the calendar and make it recurring so it becomes a habit, and you'll get the positive reinforcement soon enough in the form of checks and referrals. So it'll be an easy habit to build. But I find it, I've probably personally challenged 3,000 people to go do this, and I would say less than a dozen have done it well. And
Myra, go ahead, Jen.
Yes.
No, I finished, Chad. I didn't mean to.
A lot of real estate professionals are extremely intimidated by law professionals, and that that shouldn't be the case. Attorneys want to be treated as people. They want to do business with people. They want to know that they are almost dehumanized to an extent. And that's one of the things, like, really focus on treating that attorney like a person, not being nervous or overly formal. Walk in and be their friend, like be someone they can trust and rely on. And that goes a long, long ways. And then, Jim, before you go, the second part of your question, becoming an associate member or an affiliate member of your local bar is a great idea. It's a great way to get a lot of people in the same room, and it's just like I tell people with a RIA, find something that they don't have and bring that to them. So if they don't have anyone talking about, how, like the real estate aspect of probate, or like the service aspect of real estate and probate, like try to be a speaker, try to participate and actually contribute to the group, so they'll really pay attention. Just being there is okay. You're going to have a conversation here and there, and it'll be great. But as you go into it with a purpose. So, like, what value can I bring to this group as a whole as a real estate professional with probate knowledge? What can I show them that hasn't occurred to them, they haven't thought of, that will help them in their business and will also make them trust me and send me referrals? The other thing you want to look at, I'm sure there's probably one in your area, is they have a very similar thing. They're fiduciaries. So public administrators or fiduciaries actually have their own groups and organizations. And typically they'll meet once a month, and you can be an affiliate member. Even though you're not a fiduciary, you can join and be an affiliate member for like $325 a year. And it's basically the same approach. Like, these people are professional administrators, so they have all the problems that your prospects would have. It's different than the attorneys, but it's a B2B relationship, a lot like the attorney. So they have every incentive to get the case closed faster and and to maximize the amount of equity. So anyways, Jim, you can.
Yeah, I was gonna add, Myra, that most attorneys that do probate also do trusts, but some of them don't. And just another really obvious, if you run into one that doesn't, or if you don't have any past clients to refer to them, just go through this month's list of probate leads and see how many of them don't have an attorney. And when you walk in the attorney's office, just say, I get 100 leads a month. It looks like about 20% of them don't have an attorney. And when I talk to these people, a lot of them are kind of sorry they're doing it on their own. Would you mind if I referred some of these people to you? So there's a source right now. I don't think we see a list anywhere in the country that doesn't have, at least 5, 10, 15% that are pro se.
20 is pretty normal.
Yeah, 20%. Yeah, so that's just another. Go ahead.
Yeah, if you don't have referrals to open the relationship, that's the other thing. You can use that as the exercise to kind of build the relationship. So if you have 20% of the cases in any given county, typically do not have an attorney assigned at the time that we gather the data. Now, by the end of the process, almost all of them will end up hiring an attorney, and it ends up costing them a lot more money because they realize they needed an attorney when they made mistakes. And any attorney you meet will have those stories to share with you. But if you approach the attorney and say, listen, and I know that nobody should go at this alone, but they haven't, what I'm noticing is 20% of people haven't realized that yet. So because you're not allowed to directly solicit, I'd like to sit down with you and create a co-branded marketing piece that actually is valuable to these people who think they don't need an attorney, but can also bring both of us business. Is that something you'd be interested in doing with me? The answer is going to be yes. So when they agree to that, then you guys sit down and make like a probate checklist or a probate timeline. and put the attorney's logo on that and include it with your next round of mailers. And that way, anyone who doesn't have an attorney, they have a checklist there saying, here's in one color, this is what the attorney does, and another color, this is what the personal representative has to do. So you create this visual tool that shows them everything that they're going to have to do in a legal capacity. And then that kind of clicks, and they're like, holy crap, maybe I can't do this on my own. And naturally, the first attorney they're going to think of is the one that branded that marketing piece. So that's just another idea of how you can use value to open the relationship. You're saying, I'm going to help you earn business by giving you exposure that you can't legally have without me because of attorney solicitation laws. So if you don't have referrals, or if you just need an idea to meet with attorneys tomorrow, that could be a better short-term idea for you.
Okay, that help?
Yes, it helps a lot. Thank you so much. It's a lot of information, and I'm going to look up John Breaker. Is it one of the recordings, or?
It was actually a blog. We did it as a blog post.
Okay.
So if you just search Fraker, it will bring up that. I think it was July 1st is when we posted that.
Okay, I'll definitely.
All right, excellent. Thank you. We have 4 more in the queue. Up next is phone number ending in 5916. You're up next.
Yes, sir. Good afternoon. This is Steve Carney. Happy holidays. Question for you. I am new to all leads, and I took the training with Chad, which is outstanding. I really kind of followed him quite a bit. I got a phone call from Tom saying, hey, you're not where you need to be, which I appreciate, because eventually I'll pull my head out of my 4th point of contact, which for those who may not know what that is, that's your rectal anal cavity. So I'm working on that as I'm balancing other things here during the holiday season. When I signed up initially in the county I had, it was projected 45 leads. I'm at 26, and all leads has been good about saying, hey, we're going to cut back on the amount of, what I was charged, which was great. Everything's been fair and above board, so no issue there. My question is, even as I get started with 26, should I look into another county? I can say that I was pretty jazzed when Chad said yesterday that a guy who's currently just finished the class had 14 leads with postcards and picked up 2 at $37K. Yeah, if I could have kicked myself yesterday, I probably would have, but just want to kind of get a feel for where I'm going here and if I'm doing the right thing.
So I think it sounds like you have pretty aggressive goals, but you haven't gotten started, right?
Guilty.
Yeah, I think the best thing for you is prove to yourself that you can get it done this month. And I'll say right here, we'll honor that 20% deal when you're ready. But I would rather see you get started with what you already have before you bite off another chunk and further, paralyze yourself. And it's common, like some folks are with us, some of our best subscribers didn't really get started until their 8th billing cycle. And finally that got their ass in gear and they're like, all right, I got to go do this. I've known everything I need to know. Now I need to start. So I'd like to see you at least get started with the county you have. Make sure you've got mail out the door and you're making your phone calls. And then, even if that's tomorrow, then set that as a milestone for yourself. So in order to hit my goals, I'm going to have more than one county. But in order to do more than one county, I've got to do one county. So get
Correct.
your work done, and then come back and grab your next county.
Well, Steve, I was going to add to that real quick too. It's interesting. I think it was our second holiday season before we kind of said duh and figured out what was going on. But almost without fail, after Halloween until January 1st, there are less leads, and we couldn't figure out do fewer people really die over the holidays or what? And obviously, it's just that the courthouses are much less efficient. So if your leads have been down a little bit, they usually more than make up for it when everybody gets back to work in January. So you may get back up to that 40-some. And as much as we want to sell a lot of counties, I agree with what Chad said. We want you to be efficient in the county you have first before you start adding others. We don't want you to be overwhelmed.
And that doesn't mean you have to. It doesn't mean you have to completely master it and get 5 closings. It just means you have to break through whatever's holding you back right now, and then you're ready, right? But
Correct.
What I don't want you to do is create more financial pressure and more guilt, which I hear in your voice already. You feel guilty that you've done this. You've made this investment and you haven't gotten a return. So I think you're better off. Prove to yourself that this is easy and simple and you know everything you need to know to get started. And then next week, call us back and we'll get you set up in your new one, your new county.
All right. Well, I appreciate that. And part of it is, too, like, I'm an extreme ownership guy. I'm not going to make any excuses. Part of it for me, I think you went through it yesterday, was role play where somebody just wanted to talk about real estate right up front. It was a transactional versus a situational. And as a guy who's learning to sell, who's now working for a retail used car company that has a great reputation, it's to learn that transaction, because in the Army, it was all transactional. It wasn't situational. So it's not that I'm not working. I'm not working on the right things. I don't need to minor. I don't need to major and minor. So I need to get out of where I am. But thanks for the input on the second county. And until I get my butt in gear in the right way, I'm going to hold off based on what you guys told me. And thanks for the reminder, Tom.
Thank you for participating. We appreciate it.
You're a Dave Goggins fan, aren't you?
Absolutely. I read his book. Goggins. I also like Giacomo Willink, too. And you're the one that told me about Chris Voss's book, and I've taken his training.
Oh, really? How'd you like it?
Wonderful. I read Blue Ocean Strategy, too, because of you, Chad.
Nice. You're running me out of books. I have to give you some more now.
Well, did you read Derek Gaunt's book, Ego, Authority, Failure? There's one for you.
Okay, cool. Thank you. I needed one. Well, thank you for stepping up, and I look forward to seeing you scale this up. But I think and for everybody listening, I mean, I'm sure someone on here identifies with this. We see it happen. People come in with huge ambitions and they're ready to just tackle this and own their state. And then they sign up and they take a week to get started, and then it's 2 weeks, and that turns to 3, and eventually, thankfully, most people that eventually turns into pressure that spurs them into massive action, and then they get results, and that positively reinforces them, and they're good to go. But some people give up, and I think it's, self-shame or whatever it is. So if you find yourself in that position, there's no day better than today to get started. Don't quit just because of what you haven't done. Like, break through this, and then you'll be looking for what now, and what more can I do? And then the other thing I wanted to bring up, so the story that Steve was referencing is a gentleman that literally just got into probate a month ago, and he got 14 leads. He decided to send just postcards because they were like 50 cents each. So he mailed 14 postcards one time, got 2 come list me calls, took both listings. The way it shook out, and I think it was 63 days, he made $37,000 off of, it was either $15 or $18 in expense. So he spent 10 to 12 hours. So it was 14 leads, 10 to 12 hours of work, and like $15 in expense for $37,000 in commission. And he knew nothing about it. And he's actually has had a problem on the phone because he has a thick Italian accent, and people have been kind of discriminatory against him. But even he was able to pull that out of a list of 14 in his very first month of probate. So the reason I'm telling that story at the tail end of this is, if you feel frustrated, don't give up. Like, it's your fault, but you can fix it today. Don't give up, because there's tons of potential to help people and make great money in this niche.
Absolutely. We have 7 more in the queue, guys. You're getting active. We love it. So next up is phone number ending in 2736. You're up next.
Hi, this is Cheryl calling. Can you hear me okay?
Hear you great, Cheryl.
Okay, great. I am also guilty of not jumping in and being as active with my lists, and I haven't given up. I've just been overwhelmed. But there is one probate situation that I have come across where the beneficiary of a person who passed away. I had been in touch with, and he was one of 4 sons of a person who passed away in January. The sons got together. I see the person on the probate list in the county. They did not get an attorney. You just see that the probate was filed in March of this year. She wasn't on my list because I didn't start getting lists until the summer, but I do see her listed. And in my communications with this person, they had not decided what they wanted to do with the property, so he wasn't able to kind of give me any kind of plan or anything like that. Wasn't able to get an attorney's name to try to go that route, and could not get any introduction to any of the other siblings to kind of make an approach that way. Before I could pursue that any further, my contact with the family passed away. So now that portion of this probate is now also a probate, and is so now I'm trying to figure out how do I, because now this is another probate listing in my county, because there are heirs to that estate. How do I approach this when there's no attorneys involved in either probate listing? And because I also now, because he has 3 children, and the son of his doesn't want to use an attorney because he's being guided by the brother who didn't want to list an attorney for the initial mother who passed away in January, who thinks that they don't need attorneys. How would you approach this situation?
Okay, so I just want to clarify before I answer. The person who you were originally speaking with, who is now deceased, was the personal representative for his mother's estate, and then he passed away during the probate proceedings. Is that all right?
He was one of the four sons.
I understand that. Was he the personal representative?
I don't know if he was the listed personal representative, but he is the oldest of the 4 sons.
Okay, that's the first thing you need to answer. Because if he wasn't the personal representative, not much changed.
I don't know how.
Okay. If he was the personal representative, then it's going to fall on one of the other children, and that's the person you need to, well, regardless, someone else is or will become the personal representative. That's the individual you need to speak with and have a relationship with. So the first thing you need to do is figure out who that is. If he was the PR, and then when he passed, then who became the PR. And do you have contact information for the other family members at all?
Yeah.
Okay. So I would try to make contact first and say, listen, I was sorry to hear about Jim. He and I were actually, discussing your mother's estate. Just so you understand, like, we have a team of people here locally that help families going through probate. It's not common we see families have to go through it the way you guys are, but I'm confident that we can make a big difference for you. Have you got 5 minutes to talk? And just try to engage there and recap that, let them know that you didn't make any decisions with Jim or whoever the previous person was. Let them know that you guys were discussing it and you didn't make any decisions, so they don't feel like you're on his side, right? If there was bad blood there, which it sounds like there may have been some contention. But try to be neutral, not his realtor or his professional. And just see if you can get engagement. And then, they should know what's happening with the brother's estate as well. Maybe you can help there and connect with whoever the personal representative of his estate is and help with both cases. But I think you just need to make contact with whoever's surviving of the other siblings to start to put the story together to know who it is you need to be, working with.
Well, I know who's guiding his kids now, but everything is tied up because he didn't have any kind of power of attorney or anything. So anything that he inherited out of her estate is going to be locked up as far as I understand. Would that not be right?
That will be. I mean, it's so, well, potentially. So, I mean, but her estate can still be settled. It's the distribution. It doesn't affect, you know, you can still sell everything in her estate, and that money can be held in, you know, in the bank account. And when the distribution happens, it'll be put into his estate's bank account. And then when that distribution happens, his family will get everything from, you know, his share of both estates. But it shouldn't create any problem for you. The mother's estate can still move forward, and they can still sell assets and, you know, and do what needs to be done. So there's nothing really prohibitive here from the everything moving forward. You just need to find out who the key decision maker is and start the conversation with them.
Okay. So they can still go ahead and sell her house even though his estate is now on hold.
Yeah, because what ended up happening is during the final accounting and the distribution, the judge will, you know, settle the liabilities, pay the taxes, and then distribute to the family. Well, when he comes up on the distribution list, it can be distributed to his estate, but that estate has to be settled before that money can be distributed to his heirs. But it shouldn't hold up his mother's estate. I mean, it's, you know, it'll just flow down to his estate, basically.
So then his kids would just have to be able to sign off on agreement of the sale of the contract for her house.
Yes. If they're, yes, you'll have to get an approve. I forget what the name of the document. Basically, get their approval to sell the asset.
Okay.
Okay.
And how old are his kids? Do you know?
The youngest is 16, 21, and I think the oldest is 30, and the one that's 30 is out of state.
Yeah. So where this could get complicated is if one of those kids says, "No, I don't want to sell the house. That was Grandma's house," and then they won't sign, then it can get complicated. It's not common that happens, but it has happened to me before.
Mhm.
And
Okay.
Cheryl, the good news on something like this, like before we were talking with the risk-reward ratio, well, this is a situation where you're going to have virtually no competition. So, you know, it's going to be a little bit of extra work compared to your average deal probably, but I can't imagine anybody else out there is going to chase it down as hard as you are. And, you know, and so I think the chances that they'll end up doing business with you are probably pretty high, you know, if you come at it from the, you know, I want to help you attitude, provide value first. Make sense?
Yeah.
Okay. That was a mildly enthusiastic yeah.
Actually, something else. So I just thought of something, Jim. I didn't ask you. Did the mother have a will?
I don't know the answer to that. I know that the son that passed away did not have a will or a power of attorney or anything.
Okay.
I don't know if the mother did.
I'm assuming he wasn't cut out of the will. He was entitled to something here, but
no.
Yeah.
If she had a will, she would have. I'm pretty sure she would have distributed to all of them equally.
Yeah. Okay. Nothing changes.
All right. Next up is we have 3 in the queue. Should take us nicely up to the top of the hour. Next up is phone number ending in 5564. You're up next.
Hi, this is Edwena, and I'm in the Dallas-Fort Worth area.
Hey.
Question. I am one of those that are guilty of having older leads that have not been properly communicated with. And I have an investor who has approached me. She is from Louisiana. We met at an investing seminar at some point in time. And so we've been talking because she has some investors interested in the Dallas-Fort Worth market. And we got to talking about the probate leads. She has an ISA that she pays full-time to do a lot of her calling and that kind of stuff. My question, I guess, is would it make sense to share the leads with her, have her ISA call, and then the other question is, then what does the split look like? Because technically I'm doing the majority of the work. And these would be, wholesaling she's comfortable with. If it became a retail thing, she's licensed, so we could still have commission share. But, what would be a fair split for that, I guess? 50-50 sounds a little high for me because, like I said, I feel like I'd be doing more of the work. The other side of it is, what training could I provide to her ISA to make these calls correctly?
Yep, good question. So I think only you and her can really answer this question. And you've got to get everything out on the table and set proper expectations. One of the things that when I used to work on sales teams, we would break a sale into 4 pieces. So you basically had, like I'll try to translate it here. So for this, it could be, 25% marketing, 25% relationship or dialogue, 25% contract negotiation, and 25% closing, like transaction coordination and closing. So from the time you make the phone call until the deal closes, you basically look at that as four components of a sale. And you could split the profit according to who does which of those 4 components. So if you do 2 components and she does 2, then 50-50 would be fair. If you do 3 and she does 1, then 75-25 is more fair. And maybe you'll find that you need to break it into more pieces than that, but 4 is probably enough. So if she is, taking on the expense and the doing the work for marketing, that would be 25% of it. If you end up showing the house, writing the contract, opening escrow, seeing it all the way through to closing, well, you've done 3/4 of the work, right? So then you should be paid 3/4 on that. So the first thing you guys have to do is have a very candid conversation, get everything on the table, all the what if scenarios, and then determine that for yourselves. Like you don't need to take this to her. You need to say, I have an idea. I'd like to develop it together. What if we took a transaction, split it into pieces, and then paid according to which, you get paid for which piece you did. And if she agrees with that, then you guys both endorse it, and that can be, an agreement that will hold up over time. Where partnerships tend to get messy is when expectations aren't clearly set or defined, and that's where people feel regretful, and so that's my advice. Now, as far as getting her ISA up to speed, I mean, we have 49 hours of role play training that we provide for you. Depending on who her ISAs are, if they're real salespeople, then they could be rock stars if they just listen to role play calls. If they are, part-time employees that are just doing this for 6 months to get by, those people they're incredibly hard to train because they don't have a sales skill set. So if they try to use the tactics that we use in our role play calls, they get wrapped around the axle and lose control from the beginning. So it sounds like they're actually in her office. Is it a domestic ISA that works in her office?
No, it's actually a virtual.
Okay. So in my personal experience, it's extremely challenging to get an ISA to convert the way we train you to. So your best bet there is to keep it really superficial. Say, listen, I'm calling on behalf of Edwena. She's super busy and asked me to see if I could reach out to you. Do you have 10 minutes to get on her calendar? She wants to talk to you about how her service can help your family. And just really, really brief like that. So just make the main purpose of the ISA is to briefly introduce them to, the service as a team of people here in the community that helps families going through probate. And then that's all the deeper they need to go. And then just get them over onto your calendar. And you could even set it up like a round robin calendar where you get an appointment, she gets an appointment, but you're the market expert, right?
Right.
So
yes,
you could And at that point, like, let's just assume 25%. Like, you're giving up 25% of your potential revenue for an ISA at that point. So, it gets the work done. If you're not going to get it done, I don't know that long term that's going to be a partnership that serves you well if that's all they're doing for 25%. But one thing I would say is don't try to train your ISA to have the skill set you have, unless it's an ISA that has sales experience, that's, a domestic caller that understands the U.S. culture and how to build real rapport with people. Then they can do it. But if it's a typical offshore VA that's working for $3 or $4 an hour, I've had no success trying to get them. Like, you just need to get it, like, use them to get people on your calendar, and just know that your lead quality isn't going to be as high. You have to do more of the work, but they can turn 100 prospects into 20 leads for you, and then you can just focus your skill set on those 20. So anyway, that's my advice.
Okay. No, that makes sense. I appreciate that.
All right, perfect. We have 2 more in the queue. Next up is phone number ending in 1189. You're up next.
Sorry, I had my my speaker was up over the top of my head. Just a quick question going back to the postcards that were sent out. I wondered what type of postcards did he send? I mean, did he approach it as the kind of iBuyers postcards, or actually had probate information on the postcards, or you just don't know what he actually sent out? I thought the postcards didn't have that high returns versus the letters.
So GoToWebinar wasn't allowing me to unmute everybody at the moment, so I didn't get, Giacomo is the gentleman I'm talking about. And Giacomo, if you're on the call, if you want to share with everybody what postcard you used, I haven't actually seen a copy of it. But that's an incredible response rate. It's unusual for a postcard to produce that well. Like two closed listings off of 14, that's crazy, right?
Yeah, I know. That's what caught my eye, my ear, and I'm sure it probably caught everybody else's ear as well. But I thought typically postcards didn't give as good a return as letters did. But then it sounds like he may be in a small market anyway. I mean, 14 cards, total. But still, that's a very good return on investment. So, okay. All right. Was just wondering.
All right. Anything else we can help you with?
You mean you're looking to trade $15 for 37 grand?
Oh, no.
That sounds like a good investment to you?
Yeah. Of course.
So I will, Giacomo, if you're on here, you can press *6 and then 1 to share with us, or you guys can find him. He's in our Facebook group. So Giacomo, I believe, Giacomo.
Oh, okay. I wouldn't have spelled it that way. You said G-I-O?
I think it's Giacomo, Giacomo.
Oh, okay.
Hopefully I didn't just misspell your name in front of the world.
Thanks.
All right. We had 2 more jump in the queue. I'm going to close the queue now, guys. We're going to try to get to everyone. Next up is phone number ending in 4455. You're up next.
Hey, this is Giacomo. How you doing?
Hey, Giacomo. Speak of the Giacomo. Thanks for coming on.
Did I spell your name right, Giacomo?
Yeah, you pronounced it perfectly, yeah.
Nice. All right.
So I heard you mention my name, so I figured I'd jump on. I wasn't going to, but I figured I would. So
cool. Tell us about your postcard.
Well, I'm a broker. I'm in New York. I cover the whole state of New York, and I specialize in selling real estate at auction. So I don't just do probate. We do any type of either distressed or in high demand property at auction. Obviously, distressed sells more. That's the type of properties that we're looking for, the type of sellers. And then the postcards that we use, we have a number of different postcards. We do vacant properties, short sales, and we have a probate postcard. And the probate postcard just lets the seller know that we can sell their property in as-is condition. They don't have to worry about doing a clean out because any belongings they want to leave behind can be left behind. They take the valuables. So that's appealing to them. We also do provide clean out service if they want to do that, but that's an added expense. So they like the fact that they can leave items behind if they need to. We work with trustees. There's no inspection contingency, and most of our deals are all cash when you're buying at auction, so they also like that. So we point those things out in the on the postcard, a bullet list. It also helps that I'm a veteran, and I have a small sticker on there that says veteran-owned business. I served 6 years in the military, and I do use that in my advertisements. So that helps. But you don't need to do that. I've had postcards that didn't have that on there. But I find that, when my mother passed away, I remember sitting in her house, and I've been in the business for 30 years, but I remember sitting in the house and just going through her mail, and there were so many investors, investor letters. So I know what these executors are going through, just having experienced it myself. So you will get pushback from people. Some will feel like you're an ambulance chaser, but having gone through it with my own mother, I know that we are helping people. Just cleaning out my mother's house with 50 years worth of belongings was a challenge. So I can relate to anyone going through it. So the postcard has a bunch of different bullets that kind of touches on everything that they may be going through. They don't have to make repairs. We can do this quickly. Instead of them taking lowball offers from investors, we put them all in a room or all online, and then they can bid and submit their bids, and we can go up to the highest bid. So this last one that I did, I went down to the courthouse. I was actually training an agent, and I brought him down, because I usually don't go down. So I brought him down to show him how to go ahead and search for leads. And I found like 25 leads, showed him how to do it. We left, and then the next day I mailed out the postcards, and one administrator called me, and she had a brother just passed away in July. I sent the postcard out, I think, in September, and he had 2 houses. So I met her on a Sunday, which I normally never do, and I had family here visiting from Florida, and I almost told her, no, I couldn't do it. But I went and met her, looked at both properties. About a week later, after I encouraged her to have her attorney look at our listing agreement, because once you sign it, you can't get out of it. So the attorney looked at it and approved it. She signed it. And then a few days later, one of her relatives actually told her that they wanted the houses. And she called me up and wanted to cancel a listing agreement. And I told her, we had already started, and they could bid like everyone else, but it's an exclusive listing agreement, and they weren't going to be able to cancel it. They couldn't buy the houses anyway. They weren't financially able to buy them. But anyway, we conducted a 30-day marketing period, and we sold them right, I think, a day before the actual auction, both properties, 2 different buyers. And then we have a 30-day closing. Time is of the essence. And we closed them both December 17th. I was on the training that afternoon, but I had closed them at 10 o'clock in the morning, both closings. There was a snowstorm, too. Yeah, I never go to the closing because I hold the escrow money. And there was a snowstorm, so I was home making a bagel sandwich, and I got the call from the attorney that they closed. So we got a good system.
Sounds like you do.
Well,
congratulations.
Awesome.
That's great.
Yeah, thank you for sharing. And I told her, when I mentioned you earlier, I said you had a thick Italian accent. I got my Giacomos confused. We have there's another Giacomo that we have in Florida, and I was confusing you guys, so I apologize.
No worries. Yeah, so
all right, well,
it's great, too. I wanted to tell you that I went through the 3 days, and it's awesome. I learned a lot, and it's definitely going to help add to our business in 2020.
Awesome. Thank you for sharing, sir. We have 2 more in the queue, guys. Chad, I have to leave by 2:10 at the latest. I've got 2:15 appointments. So we've got 2 more in the queue. We should be able to wrap it up in the next 10, 15 minutes. And I'm saving I love you for last because you're a good talker, and I mean that in a nice way. So next up is 1899. You're up next.
This is White Simpson. I don't have an Italian accent. I got a Southern accent. So.
Yes, sir.
You don't
Go
have
ahead.
an accent at all, White.
Just real quick, are y'all, I got on the call later, y'all closing down from now to New Year's? I need to get some mail out. I didn't know if that was possible. That's all I need today.
Not at all.
No, we'll be off, probably half a day Christmas Eve and Christmas Day, but otherwise we're open.
Okay. All right. Appreciate it. Thank y'all.
Awesome. And I was kind of teasing our last caller today. He was on the role play call yesterday. He's got the coolest caller ID I've ever seen. It says, I love you. And, what a great marketing technique. And he's got the highest goal we've ever, he used our ROI calculator and said that it calculated, what was it, 43 billion, did you say 43 billion percent?
7 billion.
47 billion percent ROI. So welcome back. What can we do for you?
No, $47 billion, not ROI.
Oh, that's even. And like myself, he doesn't exaggerate at all.
Not at all.
Right.
I do have a question, but in listening to everyone today, I thought I might have a thing or two to add. I am an attorney by training. I don't practice, but something, if you're intimidated by attorneys, it's just school, man. If you go to school to learn how to be a plumber, you come out a plumber. It doesn't make you special. If you go to school to learn to be an attorney, you come out an attorney. You're not special. It's just the thing you've gone and learned. Another thing about attorneys, half of them graduate in the bottom half of their class, right? So most of them are not as sharp as you might think they are. Trust me, I come across them all the time, and I think, holy smokes, these guys are licensed to practice. So just because someone's an attorney, don't let that blow your mind. Not a chance. Next thing I want to add, about the intimidation of getting started. I've been in the real estate business a while. I've brokered, real estate brokerages with 100 agents under me. I'd get a new agent, and I'd say, look, man, here's the deal. You're going to have 100 screw-ups. You are going to screw up so bad that you're going to be embarrassed. They're never going to call you back. They're going to call you an idiot. You are going to screw up 100 times. The question is, do you want to take 10 years to get those 100 screw-ups out? Or do you want to go out there, blow it out hard, and in a month, wash out your 100 screw-ups, figure out what you're doing, and then you could get to work? It's up to you, man, because the 100 screw-ups are coming. And that kind of straightened a lot of kids' heads out. Just go out there and do it, man. You're learning. Don't worry about if you get the deal. You'll figure that out. My question is, I got one more thing. I think scripts are important. Chad, you alluded to the fact that scripts maybe aren't that important. You don't like scripts. For a seasoned sales guy, every professional salesperson works a script. Whether they have it down, they don't go in there and wing every call. They've got their script in their head that they've worked out through experience over time. Someone brand new that doesn't know anything about anything, it's really helpful to have a written script, even if it's not great. Anyway, so my question is, it seems to me that the approach to take on this stuff isn't to sell anything. It's to just offer a referral service. Seems to me, hey, we offer free referrals for families in your situation. I can put you in touch with probate attorneys and junk removers and cleaning people and repair people and painters. It's a free service. I know what you're going through. I went through it myself, my own family. Yeah, I have a business. We're a real estate brokerage and property manager. But the point is, if you need what we do, we can help you out with that. But what do you need right now? Because I know the best in every field. Who do you need? Do you need to talk to an attorney? Is that the approach to take?
I like it. I think it's a good approach. I mean, it's essentially, it's just explaining what we're already doing in a different way, and you're kind of disclosing that, you're a referral clearinghouse, I guess, for lack of a better term, where the approach that we teach is more where you kind of, you get the social credit for doing that, right? Like, until they actually meet with you in person, they don't realize that everything's not. I literally have had people say, where the hell is your office? It must be the size of Walmart. Because they, in their mind, like, visually, they're imagining that I have all of these people and all these services under one single roof. And, like, we have clean-out crews, estate. So there's a lot of credibility and kind of, like, social credit that comes with that. They think, holy crap, this is like a comprehensive service. So I actually like doing it that way because it has a higher perceived value than saying, yeah, we have a real estate brokerage and we know the best of the best in the industry. Well, then it kind of becomes fragmented in their mind where it looks vertically integrated using the approach that we normally use. But
take out what part? What part of it that I said that you think should be removed? You're the pro. You've done this. I haven't.
So it's interesting because you're just disclosing from the very beginning that you're basically a referral clearinghouse, where with my approach, it's more I want to appear as a vertically integrated single solution. And then once I have rapport and trust, then I'll introduce them to the individual vendors, and they'll eventually realize, oh, okay, so Chad's just the hub in this whole thing. He's not the entire wheel. But I want that perception that I'm the entire wheel from the beginning because it makes my time seem more exclusive. It makes me look smarter and more capable. And eventually they'll realize I'm not the one doing all the work. I'm actually referring this work out. But by the time we get face to face, it won't matter because I'll have a real relationship, a real connection with them. So that's why we approach it the way we do.
What about what I said? Should I remove? I'm not catching. I don't have it. I don't have a script yet. I'm working it out.
Yeah, the way you delivered it is, we're a referral service, and we've got the best of, whatever your need might be. We know the best person in town. We are a real estate brokerage, but we have all these partners. So at this point, the more cynical people on your list are going to be like, oh, that's what this is about. The damn guy just wants a real estate listing. Same thing as everybody else.
I get it.
What I'm saying is...
Take out the brokerage part.
Yes. Try to stay away from that until you found a natural segue into the real estate conversation. Don't talk about real estate at all. Because just like you've heard people say, like the Giacomo was saying, when he was sitting in his mother's apartment going through postcard after postcard after postcard about real estate. And the idea is to stay away from real estate until you earn that in the conversation. And by earn it, I mean you've got a strong dialogue going on and you can tell they trust you. And then a great natural segue is, well, listen, the biggest challenge for most families, because the average American holds 80% of their wealth in their primary residence, the biggest challenge for most families is managing the real estate within the probate. So let's start there. Is there any real estate in the estate? And if so, do you have a plan for it? And then you earn that right. Like you tell them why it's important that you talk about real estate. Then you start talking about it. And then eventually you'll disclose, well, actually, one of the things that we do is real estate brokerage. We can close in a week with cash, or we can, get absolute top dollar. Which is most important to you? And so it's the order that you're disclosing information is what's most important. And the reason for that is it differentiates you from anyone else who they've already spoken to or might speak to before you can get the paperwork signed.
So you don't like the presentation, if you will, the impression that this is a referral service. You like the impression
I like the possibility of it. I would like for you to go test it, and
on my dime.
Yeah.
I want to know it works.
I mean, obviously the approach that I take is deliberate, and I've reordered things and moved things around, and like the conversation framework that we teach in lieu of giving you a script, it's about getting the right information in the right order at the right time. And there's a whole lot of trial and error in our system that I've tried this first, then that first, then this, and finally settled into where we could get a consistent result across almost anybody who was diligent. And but I am very curious to see if you try our approach and then try just disclosing up front. We're more of a referral service. The question there, the curiosity I have is, will they feel less threatened because you're not disclosing you're a real estate broker up front? You're saying we're a referral service, and then by the time it gets around to referring them to a real estate professional, you will have a solid relationship and rapport with them. So it may be just as effective. That's why I'm really curious for you to test it.
Yeah, that's okay. Do you have a particular call number or something? I'm talking about your YouTube videos, where we can hear the script that you use in the order that you use it. I'd like to hear that through and through. Like an official training on that. We did a bit of it on the Mastery, but is there something on YouTube that I can go to? Or
Yeah, if you go to our YouTube playlist, Role Play, so go to our channel, go to Playlist, and then click on Role Play Calls. If you look in the description, Kat does a really good job at timestamping the call. It's not really searchable there, but you can churn through a lot quickly there. If you want to search something, like if you go to alltheleads.com, in the top right, you'll see that universal search bar, and put in initial conversation as your keyword search. That's going to bring up, I know of at least a half a dozen role play calls where we kind of did it, in that order. We just jumped in. And some of them, like the one from November, listen to Rebel Taylor, is the person that was role playing, and she put herself in the hot seat, and she hadn't even been on the phones yet, but she did an incredible job. So listen to the November call, Rebel. It's probably in the timestamp, but you can search initial conversation. We try to tag those with particular keywords for this reason, but search initial conversation on the website, and it should bring those up. If you just want to churn through a bunch of role plays, you can just go to the YouTube playlist and churn through one after another.
Okay.
All right. I hate to cut you off. We are running up against the clock, and I really appreciate your participation. You're going to go out and prove that method for us, and we'll have an alternative method. And just real briefly, also, I would put in one of the, using a script, and you'll kind of see why Chad doesn't recommend it. We do have a script you can find, but the conversation can go so many different ways, and you'll lock yourself into, you'll block yourself, limit your conversation if you use an exact script. But the seller questionnaire is really better than the script. It's just really a good script is just asking a good series of questions. So I'd recommend that you check that out too. Okay?
Okay, thank you.
All right, you're very welcome. Guys, I want to reiterate what Tim said at the beginning of the call. Whatever holiday you celebrate, make it a great one with your family. take enough time off to enjoy yourself and work hard enough so that you could get 2020 off to a great start. I want to thank you all for being here. I want to thank everybody who actively participated. And I want to challenge each of you, take one of the great thoughts, ideas that you heard on today's call, go out and put it into practice, and come back next week and share your results with the group. Thank you so much, guys. Have a great holiday, and we will talk to you on December 26th. Take care.